Okay, can I just begin by asking you what exactly is meant by a pilgrimage?
It's a journey that begins one place and continues to go on until you probably conclude whatever you're ending up. Mine began in Whitby and is going to continue on for 6 months and ends up in York.
Wow, 6 months.
Yeah.
Whose idea was that?
My idea, crazy, but my idea. And the heart of this pilgrimage, really, I've called it a pilgrimage of prayer. So I meet with people, pray with them. A pilgrim of witness. I want to say to people to be more confident about Jesus Christ, and those who don't know him, to persuade them. There's a good thing that actually not only do they know the one who created them, but the one who actually in life died and rose again on their behalf, that they may new life in God, and then bless the good things that I see around, because God already has gone ahead of me anyway. So pilgrimage really is a journey, and all of us, whether we like it or not, are on a journey. Some of our journeys are hard and tough and difficult. Other people's journeys are much nicer than we think. So that's what that's about.
I think by nature, humans complain an awful lot. We do gripe about what we haven't got and what we should have and that sort of stuff. As you've been touring around, as you've been doing your journey, what's been the response that you've had from people?
I've been surprised. By people glad that I'm doing this. I am in their place, in their area, meet them on the streets. They've been actually glad that this is being done. You see, in one of our ordination services describes actually all clergy, particularly bishops, as shepherds. Now, if you're a shepherd, you got to know your sheep, and the sheep got to know you. And in many ways, put it rather more simplistically, you've got to smell the sheep, and the sheep have got to smell you. Because if they cannot, there's no way you'll be a shepherd. And being on the road and walking and talking to people, actually there's a chance I'm going to meet and get to know people. And my vision really begins with Aidan. Aidan, one of those wonderful monks, actually, who managed to walk everywhere. King Oswald gave him a horse to encourage him on his journey. Very, very expensive horse. He rode it, and then I came across a beggar, and he gave it away to the beggar. And he said, I prefer walking. So I'm walking, really, because Aidan had almost, his journey was going in 3 directions. The first he called it the sanctuary, where you meet God in prayer, in meditation. And then he had the place of hospitality, where he offered hospitality to people. So that's really where he met. And then after that, he went to the road. And he was quite interesting that he would meet anybody and ask them, are you a Christian? If they said no, he would sit with them, persuade them about becoming Christians. They became Christians. He taught them a psalm and then went on. So I'm trying really in many ways to say to people, we're all on a journey. Let's make sure it's a good journey.
So how is your each day working out? You know, you get up on a morning, you've had your porridge, you've already said. Yeah. How does your day pan out? Well,
it pans out because the Archdeacon, in this particular Archdeaconry, Archdeacon Sam Rushton, who is the Archdeacon of Cleveland, has planned it together with the rural deans, and the places are divided into deaneries. They've worked out, together with my chaplain, the sort of route I'm going to be taking, and I'm really in their hands. So if they decide to, like they did in Whitby, where you're doing a lot of climbing, well, so the route is actually followed by what the rural dean on the ground with their various clergy have worked out. And I also said to them, I don't want to go back on myself. For example, I don't want, having started in Whitby, finding myself going back to Whitby to go into a place I didn't go to. So actually, you should move forward really without ever returning, and that's what it is. So they've planned the journey, and so far it's been wonderful since I started on the 1st of December.
So who's feeding you the porridge, and where do you sleep every evening?
Again, the Archdeacon, through the routine, have been requested that I should stay. I'm trying to follow, in the letter of James, he said it's good religion means looking after widows particularly. And so I said, well, maybe you should find widows and widowers to be the places where I'm staying, or single people who are lonely, or who are full of joy and would like to have the likes of me. And because I leave early in the morning, and I've got a very peculiar way of cooking porridge.
Oh, do you? What way is that then?
So, well, I cook it in Bishop Thorpe when I go back on Sunday night, and then put it into a Tupperware bowl, and then bring it with me and put it in the fridge. So every morning I scoop out a bit of what I want to eat, warm it up in the microwave, and that's it. So it's already prepared.
You're like the Nigella Lawson of the church, aren't you?
Well, I don't know about that. Why pick on Nigella? Why her? There are many other people.
So you are getting a really sort of loving welcome as you progress round. You would certainly say
marvelous,
that.
Marvellous. I mean, we've gone into schools and they have been uplifting. I mean, the enthusiasm you find in every school, the one that when we were in the Deanery of Whitby, which was quite remarkable, really, as we went into these schools. We were received with such great enthusiasm. There's one girl, she's 8, and I went into the school really in Dunby and asked afterwards, she said, Santamu, because that's what I call myself, Santamu, why are you called the Archbishop of York? Now, what would you say to her? It would have been a very long, sort of winded answer. In the end, I said to her, well, you got a head teacher. He teaches as well as being the head teacher. He helps the school, together through other teachers, to really be a wonderful school like you've got. And the role of an archbishop is to try and run his own diocese together with other people, and also supporting other bishops, because we've got 14 dioceses in what they call the Northern Province. And so we try to work together collaboratively to try and make sure that really the message of the love of God in Jesus Christ is being heard and being shared and being lived out. I've just come from the food bank, St. Peter's, here in Redcar. I was most amazed.
In what way?
In the sense that people who come to that food bank, they're also given food to eat. So they don't actually faint on their way while they're carrying the food that they're actually getting from there. I mean, I was most impressed because I just said to myself, I think Jesus would be very glad about this. The community there is being almost providing the presence of God through its loving action and caring for people. And it's wonderful, wonderful.
Now, Redcar and Teesside, perhaps more generally, has had quite a tough year with job losses and the closure of the steelworks. Yeah. What sort of response do you get from people who've been affected by that?
I mean, the amazing thing is that coming to your studio, we went past the lifeboat people, and the sort of station commander there, he used to be somebody who worked at the steelworks and was made redundant, and is now going out helping people in health and safety as well as, first aid. And he just says to himself, well, it's a pity that I lost my job, but I go out and try and help the community and help out. To me, he sounded to be very much upbeat, not downbeat at all. So it's very, very sad. I always say it's a very resilient community. Yeah. Is that your experience or your perception of it as somebody who's not from this area? Well, I mean, all I'd say, I mean, I've been here when some jobs were lost way back. And the thing is that when people lose their jobs, when you thought you had a job for life, it's really devastating. What is important, though, is to realize that as long as you are well and alive, there is a possibility of another chance. So do not, because you lost a job, say, that's it, I've had it, because some people, unfortunately, disintegrate and find it very difficult. But again, I mean, he was telling me, for example, they had a sort of, how do you survive when you find yourself in the sea? And they had taught a class of young girls, and apparently one day a young lady went out swimming and was drowning, but they had taught her what to do, how you move your hands, how you actually raise hands so that people can see you that actually can swim. And the lifeboat went out and they rescued her, And then he said, at least that training was proven to be working. We managed to rescue her. So there is a gentleman who had decided that actually there is more to life than just the job I was doing.
A human is more than just that job.
Absolutely. I said to people, we were really wonderfully and fearfully created, but more wonderfully redeemed by God in Jesus Christ, so that we could be the sort of people we were intentionally created to be. Very much like God himself. That's a tall order. And so we should not live down on the sort of bottom rank thinking that's all there is about life. And that's why I'm going around trying to encourage people, just look at yourself. Look at the area you're living in. It's just so beautiful. This is all given to you by God, and for heaven's sake, it'd be a good thing if you knew the Creator, but more wonderfully, if you know that Creator actually, in Jesus, has dealt with all your mess, with all your trouble, with all your problem. All you need to do is get to know him a bit better. And then you discover your life could be wonderfully, gloriously, joyfully lived.
I must ask, while you're here, I know you've just celebrated your 10 years as the Archbishop of York. Yes. What has been a big standout experience from your time in that role?
I think the thing which stands out again for me, going around schools and seeing the level of teaching at its best. Young people asking simple questions, but actually very tough ones. Seeing people growing in their faith, and, confirming, baptizing. And not only that, we are growing quite a lot of younger clergy in this Diocese of York. We are on the up. And that actually thrills me that in the 10 years we've been here, we've now sponsoring so more people to be ordained as priests. But also different ministries are happening, lay people taking on more responsibility. And some young people who at one time the church didn't mean much, they're beginning again to recognize that actually it is important to their own lives. So I think it has been what I call seeing the young thriving in the faith and growing, to me is just wonderful.
Archbishop of York, John Sentamu, thank you so much for your time today.
Nice talking to you.